Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick review on this battery that I've had for about 12 months now, but I've only used it for one full fishing season, so roughly from March to November, so roughly about 8 months of usage. And this battery, what I use this battery for is powering my fish finders mainly. So I have four fish finders on the boat, and the total amp draw on those four fish finders is roughly 12 amps. So this 100 amp hour battery should last me a little bit over 8 hours of usage when I have all the fish finders running at the same time and drawing power. I almost never use all four fish finders at once. I'm usually using two, which draw about 6 amps, and sporadically I'll turn on the other two, which will draw another 6 amps. But I will never use it for full 8 hours with all four fish finders turned on. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of how I use this battery, and after a full fishing season, I have never had a situation where this battery, was completely drained. So again, I do have a starting battery that's just dedicated to the starting engine, starting two engines, and then powering any lights or pumps and things like that. And then this battery is specifically just for those fish finders. And then I also have three lithium batteries that power my trolling motor. When it comes to this battery, I picked this battery because it had a feature that I was really looking forward to, which is this auto thermal compensation feature. And basically what this means is that when it comes to lithium batteries, and let me give you guys a little 30-second background story. But when it comes to lithium batteries, they will not charge when the temperature is below freezing. And I do live in a climate where we do see, temperatures dip below freezing overnight, and then during the day, it could get back up to 40s, 50s, which is perfect fishing time. So that's the reason why I chose one of these auto thermal compensation batteries. And the way this battery works, that auto thermal compensation, is that there is a heating pad in this battery, and the heating pad will bring up the temperature of the battery cells up to 41 degrees to charge the battery, or to allow the battery to start taking charge. And then the battery gets charged. So, this was an important feature for me because I didn't want to end up in a situation fishing in late fall or early spring where this battery didn't take a charge. I drained it, and now my electronics don't work. So that was a big feature. Obviously lithium has better discharging profile than a standard lead acid battery, and so there's other benefits to using lithium batteries. But the other kind of neat thing about this battery is that this is a Group 24 battery. So what that means is that this is a much smaller battery than your typical battery. That's 100 amp hours. So 100 amp hour battery would probably be like a Group 31 size battery. Group 31 lead acid batteries, I mean, they're humongous and they weigh so much. I had an Optima Blue Top before, and actually had three of them. And that battery was, it weighed, like over 50 pounds. This battery is very, very light compared to that. It's small, it's light, and so when you have five batteries on your boat, it's nice having them smaller size, because you kind of run out of space to keep the batteries, and you have to get very creative. So having a smaller profile of the battery, it's just easier to pull it out of the boat during wintertime storage to bring indoors, or even or even just getting it wired in there and wiggling in there, and freeing up some space in the compartment where you keep these batteries. So again, being that it's a Group 24 battery, you'll see that this battery is about 10 inches and a quarter, it looks like, or just a little bit over 10 inches. Then here across the top, it's, what is it, about 6.5. And then tall, it looks like it's about 8.5 inches tall. So again, much smaller profile, which makes this a, you know, nicer battery. So when you go with any other group size 31 battery that's 100 amp hours, the batteries still use the same amount of cells internally. So I believe there's 4 cells in these batteries. But what happens is the group 31 just has a physically bigger case, and then what typically is found inside are just like cushions to keep the cells, you know, centered or whatever. But basically it's just a bigger case, but the actual batteries inside are the same size. So I mean, it doesn't really make sense to go with that larger, physically bigger case, the group 31, unless you know, for example, you're using some kind of a special tray or hold down for the battery that is designed only for a 31 size battery. In my case, the tray is, I think, a 27 size tray. So I mean, I literally have maybe like an inch on each side. But the thing is that this battery is held down with a strap, so it's held down pretty tightly and it's not going anywhere. And after one season, it hasn't moved at all in the tray, so it's mounted in there safely. The other thing that I did want to mention about this battery is it does come with they do include these caps, so that's pretty cool. And they do include nice hardware here on these batteries. These are M8 bolts. Here's what they look like from when you order these batteries. This one I actually replaced with a slightly bigger one. So let me show you guys in just a second here. So as you can see, this one is just a tad bit bigger. I think this is like a 3/4 bolt, and the reason why I went with a 3/4 is because I have a lot of stuff that's hooked up here and a breaker and everything else in between, and so I just needed a little bit more, you know, a little bit bigger bolt to hold it all down. So that's the reason why I went with that. You know, there's the battery, again, I just showed these handles. They're very nice, very sturdy. They're not like those cheap plastic straps that you see on the typical you know, typical lead acid batteries. You know, again, graphics are pretty nice. I mean, I've used this battery for a year, and I mean, it's, you know, it's looking pretty good, I would say. Here's a decal that shows you how to wire these batteries, you know, in parallel or in series. Again, since this battery is just powering my electronic fish finders, I don't need, I haven't found the need to have more than just this one single battery. And you know, I fished many days that were like 10-hour plus days, and I never ran out of charge. The other cool thing is, you know, obviously you get like an instruction manual. And the instruction manual just kind of goes over some of the features and things like that of this battery. Here's like how the BMS works, how it functions, and then here's just some charging and discharging you know, like profiles. Here it talks about wiring the batteries in different configurations, a couple of graphs to help you understand, you know, how this battery works, and then just some troubleshooting for the battery. One thing I will say is that just like any other lithium battery, these are shipped partially charged, and so you will need a special charger that will wake these batteries up and basically bring them online and allow them to start charging. So just make sure you have a special charger that can work with lithium batteries and that does have this capability to restart the BMS, and you should be good to go. So just one other thing that I wanted to touch up on before I kind of talk a little bit more about, you know, maybe not some issues, but just some kind of questions that arose in my mind after a season of using this battery. But one thing that I didn't know up front when I did purchase this battery is that this battery actually requires a 15 amp charger, or a charger capable of delivering 15 amps for this heating, for this autothermal compensation feature to work. And so, you know, unfortunately for me, I didn't realized that, and the charger that I had before would not supply that type of current, and I ended up upgrading the charger to a Noco Genius Pro 2 bank charger, but each bank puts out 10 amps. So I've used this battery for a whole season and I haven't had any issues. But now that I reflect back on this whole season, I don't think once that this heating feature even turned on. And the reason why is because, again, my charger puts out 10 amps max. So even though I bought this, higher priced battery with this nice feature, I haven't even used that feature, or to my understanding, it hasn't even turned on once because my charger doesn't put out 15 amps per hour charging current. So so with that being said, what I think, in my case particularly, either I haven't seen temperatures below freezing while this battery's been charging, which is very possible as I only typically get out once or twice a week. So potentially whenever I charged it, it was maybe the batteries took charge during the day and not during overnight cold temps, in which case, and that's the case why this battery has performed as it has, and there were no issues with it not being charged or not discharging. And then the other thing is that just like any other lithium battery, typically the BMS in here, so that's like the kind of like the brains of the battery, it prevents the battery from allowing it to take a charge when below freezing, and prevents it from discharging when I believe it's -4 degrees Fahrenheit, and prevents charging from when it's 32 degrees and below. So in other words, the BMS was protecting this battery. So to kind of sum it up, I wasn't in a situation where I needed to have that heating feature. So so far everything's been pretty good with this battery. Let me know, guys, if you have used this brand battery, or if you have used a one of these batteries with this auto thermal compensation or these heating pads in them. Just let me know your experience, and whether you like the battery, whether you have experienced any issues with it. Again, to sum it up, I haven't really had any issues. But as I previously mentioned, there are some kind of questions in the back of my mind that came up after a season of using this battery, and I'll try to cover those kind of questions that came up in the second part of this review video. But again, yeah, I'm very satisfied with this battery, and we'll continue running it for this next season and see how it performs. And then maybe I'll revisit this and make a follow-up video as well. But yeah, let me know your experiences with this type of battery, whether this brand or any other lithium battery that does have a heating heating mode with that that is capable of heating up these batteries to charge them. Drop a comment. Thanks, guys. See ya.